NASCAR's next-gen car was supposed to fix the racing, but a Hall of Famer just said the fix might actually be the problem. And he's not the only one saying it. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. So here's the backdrop. Some of the best races in NASCAR history had one thing in common. The field wasn't tightly bunched together. That's just how it was. But NASCAR wanted closer competition, so back in 2022, they rolled out the next-gen car, and they leaned heavily into aerodynamics to try to make that happen. Now, to be fair, it did achieve that goal. To an extent, but here's the thing. That heavy reliance on aero over horsepower has created brand new problems, and a lot of drivers and former stars are frustrated with the direction these cars have taken. Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick have been two of the loudest critics of the next-gen car. But now, a NASCAR Hall of Famer is joining that conversation, Mark Martin. Martin is taking issue with the car's design, and he's arguing that changes driven by the manufacturers, the OEMs, have fundamentally hurt the quality of racing. Here's what he actually said on the Dale Jr. Download podcast. Martin said he would work with the smart engineers from the teams to make the underbody not work at all. He admitted he understands why the underbody exists in the first place. Because before it was introduced, teams were spending all kinds of money chasing Downforce, and it was starting to get out of control. So he gets why it's there. But his stance is clear. He wants zero Downforce in the front, zero lift. That's a pretty radical demand when you think about it, stripping the front end of Downforce entirely. But Martin didn't stop there. He also said NASCAR's continued emphasis on aero instead of horsepower is, in his words, insanity. And to back that up, he pointed to two other series, Formula One and IndyCar. According to Martin, both of those series have found a much better balance between competitiveness and actual on-track racing. Now here's some context on that F1 comparison. Formula One introduced ground effect regulations back in 2022, and the goal was to help cars follow each other more closely and cut down on dirty air. They also use a drag reduction system all the way up until 2025, and under the 2026 regulations, they introduced active overtake modes to improve racing even more when cars are running close together. Meanwhile, back in NASCAR, the drivers are screaming for more power, literally. Kevin Harvick pointed this out after qualifying in Las Vegas last year, noting just how wide open the whole field was. He's begged the sport to listen to the drivers and bring more horsepower back into the equation. So let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets interesting. Back in 2014, at its peak, NASCAR Cup Series engines were producing around 900 horsepower. That's a big number. But over the years that followed, NASCAR steadily brought that number down. From 2015 to 2018, output was capped at 750 horsepower. Then from 2019 to 2021, it dropped even further, down to a surprising 550 horsepower. So where does that leave us today? Right now, the standard engine package for most intermediate tracks produces 670 horsepower. For 2026, NASCAR did bump that up to 750 horsepower, but only for road courses and ovals shorter than 1.5 miles. And at the drafting tracks, places like Daytona and Talladega, the horsepower limit is staying right where it's been, at 510. According to the article, it's simply not enough. And Martin isn't alone in that opinion. Denny Hamlin has also been calling for more focus on horsepower. Although in a somewhat sarcastic moment on his own podcast, Hamlin actually asked the community to stop asking for it, saying the OEMs, the manufacturers, would do nothing that might hurt their own pockets. Now, Martin does recognize what his solution would actually do. Stripping Downforce and add in horsepower would spread the field back out, but he insists that traditionalists, people like himself, wouldn't mind that one bit. He looks back at races from the 1990s, races that are still considered peak NASCAR by a lot of fans. So let's recap where this all stands. Less downforce, more horsepower, according to Martin, and echoed by drivers like Hamlin and Harvick. That combination could make the racing better again, and with more voices continuing to speak up about it, this debate over the next-gen car doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. So here's my question for you. Do you agree with Mark Martin? Should NASCAR strip the front downforce and bring horsepower back up, even if it spreads the field back out like it was in the 90s? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure you like this video and subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. We'll see you in the next one.